This is a video over scientific notation that will prepare you for your test tomorrow. For our first problem, we have the number 82,900,000. When we're taking a number in standard form and writing it in scientific notation, we take our decimal point for a whole number. It starts at the back, and we want to move the decimal point to behind the first number, meaning we have to move the decimal point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. And so we would write our answer as 8.29 times 10 to the 7th power. You do not have to write the zeros at the back, and your exponent is how many times you moved the decimal point. For number 2, we have the number 0.00000068. Again, we're going to take our decimal point and we're going to move it behind the first number, which is a 6. We move the decimal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. So when we write our answer, we write it as 6.8. It's always times 10. And then this answer is to the negative 6th power. It's a 6 because that's how many times we move the decimal point. And it's a negative 6 because our number is a small number. The zeros in front mean we're going to have a negative exponent. For number 3, we have the number 12,850. We start with our decimal point in the back. We want to move it till it's behind the first number 1. So that means we move the decimal point 1, 2, 3, 4 times. When we write our answer, we write it as 1.285. We keep all of the numbers, but not the zeros at the back. It's always times 10. And this would be to the 4th power because we moved the decimal point 4 times. For number 4, we have the number 0.00085. We move our decimal point behind the first number, which is an 8, meaning we move 1, 2, 3, 4 times. We write our answer as 8.5. It's always times 10, and our exponent is going to be a negative 4. 4 because we move the decimal point 4 times, and negative because the zeros are in the front, meaning it is a small number. Small numbers are negative exponents. For number 5, we're going to have the number 10,500,000,000. We start with our decimal in the back of the whole number. We want to move it till it's behind the first number 1, meaning we move the decimal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times. When we write our answer, we write it as 1.05. We do keep the 0 if it's in the middle, but we don't write the zeros at the back. Times 10, and it's to the 10th power because we move the decimal 10 times. For number 6, we have the number 0.000005. We take our decimal, we want to move it behind the first number, which is 5. So we move the decimal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. You can write your answer 2 ways. You can write it as 5, or you can write it as 5.0. Either answer is fine. It is always written as times 10. And because we move the decimal 6 times, we have a negative 6 for our exponent because the zeros in front are representative of a small number, meaning our exponent is negative. For our next problem, we have the number 1,200,000. We start with our decimal in the back because it's a whole number. We want to move the decimal behind the first number 1, and so we move the decimal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. We write our answer as 1.2. We do not keep the zeros in the back. It's always times 10, and it's going to be to the 6th power because we move the decimal point 6 times. For our next problem, we have the number 0.0033. We take our decimal point and we move it behind the first number, which is a 3, meaning we move the decimal 1, 2, 3 times. When we write our answer, we write it as 3.3. We always have times 10, and our exponent is going to be to the negative 3rd power. It's 3 because we moved the decimal 3 times, and it's negative because the zeros in front mean it's a small number, and small numbers have negative exponents. For number 9, we have the number 5,280. We start with our decimal point at the back because it's a whole number. We want to move it behind the first number, which is a 5, meaning we move the decimal point 1, 2, 3 times. When we write our answer, we write it as 5.28. We do not write the 0 at the back. We always write times 10, and it's to the third power. For number 10, we have the number 0.4. We want the decimal point to go behind the first number, so behind the 4, meaning we move the decimal point 1 time. We can write our answer in 2 ways. You can write it as 4, or you can write it as 4.0. Either answer is correct. We always write it times 10, and it's going to be to the negative first power. It's to the first power because we move the decimal 1 time, and it's to the negative first power because we have a 0 in the front, which represents a small number. All small numbers are represented by negative exponents. For number 11, we have the number 5 times 10 to the 6th. We're going to take our number 5. We're going to take our decimal point, which is behind the 5, and we're going to move it 6 times. So we move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We want to fill in the place values with a 0. And then we rewrite the number clearly. And we end up with 5 million as our answer. For number 12, we have the number 1.6 times 10 to the negative third. We're going to take our number 1.6. We're going to move our decimal point 3 times. But because it's negative 3, negative means we have the zeros in the front of the number. So we move the decimal point forwards 1, 2, 3 times, filling in our placeholders with zeros. When we rewrite our answer as 0.0016, you can put the extra 0 in the front to represent the whole number. You do not have to. You can leave your answer as 0.0016. Either answer is correct. For number 13, we have the number 9.86 times 10 to the third power. We're going to start by taking our decimal point and we're going to move it 3 times. 1, 2, 3. We fill in that placeholder with a 0, and then we rewrite the number more clearly. 9,860. You do not have to put the decimal point at the end. For number 14, we have the number 8.2 times 10 to the negative 5th power. We take our decimal point and we're going to move it 5 times. Because it is a negative 5, that means that the zeros are going to go in the front of the number. Negative exponents are small numbers, meaning the zeros go in front. So we move the decimal point forwards 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, filling in those placeholders with zeros. And then we write the answer more clearly. 0.000082. And if you want to put the decimal point and the 0 in the front, you can, or you can just leave it with your 0.000082. Either answer is correct. For number 15, we have the number 8.45 times 10 to the 2nd power. We're going to take our decimal point and we're going to move it 2 times because that's our exponent. 1, 2. We do not have any placeholders to fill with zeros. And so we write our answer as 845. You do not have to put the 0 at the end or the decimal point at the end. For number 16, we have the number 7.2 times 10 to the negative 2nd power. We're going to take our decimal point, 7.2, and we're going to move it 2 times. Because it's negative, we're going to move it towards the front, because negative exponents are representative of small numbers, Small numbers have the zeros in the front. So we move it 1, 2 times forward, filling in that placeholder with a 0. And so our answer is 0.072. Or if you prefer, you can put the 0 in front of the decimal point for 0.72. Either answer is correct. For number 17, we have the number 3 times 10 to the 4th. We start with our whole number and our decimal point, which is behind it. We're going to move the decimal point 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Filling in those placeholders with zeros. And then we write the answer more clearly. Our final answer is 30,000. You do not have to put the decimal point at the end. For number 18, we have the number 2.42 times 10 to the negative first. We're going to start with our number, and we're going to move our decimal point 1 time. Because it is negative, we're going to move the decimal point towards the front, because negative exponents are representative of small numbers, and small numbers have the zeros in the front. So moving it 1 time, we do not have any placeholder values to fill, and so we can write our answer as 0.242. If you prefer, you can put the 0 in front of the decimal point and have 0.242. Either answer is correct. For number 19, we have the number 5.1 times 10 to the 9th power. We're going to take our decimal point and we're going to move it 9 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We fill in all of those place values with zeros. And then we're going to rewrite our answer more clearly. You can put the decimal point at the end. You do not have to. And we end up with 5,100,000,000. Excuse me. For our last problem, we have the number 6.7 times 10 to the negative 4th. We take our decimal point and we move it 4 times. But because it's negative, we're going to move the decimal point towards the front, because negative exponents are representative of small numbers, and small numbers have the zeros in the front. So we move 1, 2, 3, 4 times. We fill in our placeholders with zeros, and we end up with 0.00067. If you prefer, you can put the 0 in front of the decimal point for 0.00067. Either answer is still correct.